elected or appointed, you say any of them, depending on whether you are appointed or you were elected. Then you mention your position before to the SRC Parliament. Are we all on the same page? So let me give an example. So I, the boss, having been appointed as the Chief Justice of the SRC, then you continue. Please, are we all on the same page? Right, so can we begin? Right, so I want to see your right hand up. And please be very, very audible so that the house can hear it. So I, having been let me take it again. I, please be audible. I, having been the SRC Parliament of the SRC, do hereby in the name of God swear that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the SRC Constitution and uphold, preserve, protect, and defend the SRC Constitution and expose with faithful zeal any act of commission or omission or any other matter that would undermine the said SRC Constitution. So help me God. By the power vested in me as the Chief Justice of the SRC, I proclaim you duly sworn in and as members of Parliament. You are most welcome. Okay. So, on behalf of the House, I want to congratulate the association heads who have just been sworn in. We'll move then again to the committee heads. That is the next agenda. That is the approval and swearing in of the committee heads. Kindly, if you hear your name, you just move forward for us. Okay. So, starting with the sports committee, we have Honorable Victor Nogbeji Kofi as the head for the sports committee, Asante Reginald, entertainment committee, Honorable Odoi Etelya Yemole for the welfare committee, Honorable Dogbe Elom for intelligence and student affairs committee, Honorable De Kenneth for audit committee, Honorable Amewuda Dennis Delali for the non-resident and student affairs committee, Honorable Kwame Wet William for the scholarship committee, Honorable Charlie David Edem for the programs and projects committee, Honorable Osei Romeo Owusu for academic affairs committee. Okay. Okay, so we'll finish with the committee heads and we'll move on to the ad hoc committees. But before
So before we move on, I want the honorable members we've called forward to sit, and we'll call them one after the other to come introduce themselves for parliamentary approval as well. So
Entertainment Committee member right after four years in a row. That is being in sports and entertainment. Last year I was MSA president, by which I think we ran one of the most successful MSA weeks ever on campus. So,
Honorable Asante Reginald as the Entertainment Committee Chair. Let me hear the yeas. Okay. Honorable Adam. Yeah, yeah.
Last year, some of the students' special impressions were attacked on their way to their various hostels. Some people were stabbed, and also their phones were snatched and laptops. Also, some students also were involved in serious accidents where they were sent to Trafalgar Hospital. Madam Welfare Committee Chair, I would like to ask you, the welfare plan for these students who are normally victimized by this situation. The students who are being stabbed, who are involved in accidents and the rest. What are your welfare plans for these students?
Thanks for your question. I'm very sure we all pay them. Students pay SRC dues and all that. So I'll try my best to ensure that for the welfare of students, they get a quota of the SRC dues that they are paying, so that can be assigned to cater for all welfare issues, just as you've mentioned. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. If the House approves of Honorable Odoy Etel to be the Welfare Committee Chairperson, can I hear the yeas? Okay, if there's anyone that disapproves, can I hear the nays? Okay, so with the power vested in me, Honorable Odoy Etel, you've been approved as the Welfare Committee Chairperson. Okay, so can we please have Honorable Dogbe Elom come in?
Student from the School of Nursing and Midwifery, and I've been appointed as the committee chairperson of the Intelligence and Student Affairs Committee, which is basically a group of students who come together to deliberate on how best to take decisions in the best interest of the students' body. So at this point, I'll please welcome any question if any of you have one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So over to the House, anyone with a question for her? Anyone with a question for her? Okay, so if there are no questions, if the House approves of Honorable Dogbe Elom being the committee chairperson for the Intelligence and Student Affairs of this SRC, can I hear the yeas? So if I say can I hear the yeas, you can just say yay. You can also choose to say yeah, yeah. If I say can I hear the nays and you really disapprove, you can say a nay. So can I hear the yeas? Okay, so if there's anyone that disapproves that she becomes a committee chairperson, can I hear the nays? Okay, at the power vested in me, Honorable Elom Dogbe has been up there. Kenneth, come in.
Mr. Speaker of the House, my name is Abelodi Kenneth. I'm the Federal Audit Committee Chairperson. I was the former audit member for the 2021 academic year, which was headed by the Honorable Enokejari.
Is there any other thing you want to let them know why they should consider you for?
I
this
as,
position?
as part of the formal audit committee, we stood out to begin a progressive works to ensure that our resources and then everything that has to do with the Uhas Src is being managed purposefully. And I think progressively we are achieving that. And so me being the next federal chairperson, I would wish to continue with the progressive work that we began to ensure that the resources of the people of Uhas are utilized effectively and then efficiently. Thank you.
Okay, any question for the honorable member? Okay, so any question for the honorable member on the floor? Okay, so any question? Oh, there's a hand. Okay, yes, please. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So when we speak about the resources, we have the students, the SRC financial issues, that is the money we have, and some of the paraphernalias of the SRC. We talk about our clothes that can actually fetch the SRC body money to be able to run the administration effectively. And as I told you early on, previously we have done our best to ensure that people who are accountable for all these resources come and pay responsibility to these things that they have been given to. And progressively, we are reaching there. So we have the paraphernalias there, we have the financial issues also over there that can actually help us to move the SRC forward. And so that is what we have started to do, and progressively, we are reaching the accountability on its peak to be able to serve the people of Uhas. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So if the House approves of Honorable Agbulode Kenneth being the Audit Committee Chairperson, can I hear the yeas? If there's anyone that disapproves, can I hear the nays? Okay, so by the power vested in me, Honorable Agbulode Kenneth, you've been approved as the Audit Committee Chairperson. Okay, can we have Honorable Amewuda Dennis Delali? When he comes directing.
Level 400 nursing student and a former committee chairperson of the Health and Education Committee of the NAMSA, that is Nursing and Midwives Student Association on campus. And I've been appointed as the committee chairperson for non-resident student affairs committee. I deem it fit to fit well into the office I've been appointed into, in the sense that I myself am a non-resident student, and I've had experience as to what non-resident students go through on campus. So, with the experience I've had, and then the fair share of knowledge I have on the problems that non-resident students face on campus, when I'm given the opportunity to serve in that regard, I'll be able to serve well in that capacity. So with this, I appeal to the House that they should give me that opportunity to serve in that regard. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Member. Oh. Any other person has a question apart from Honorable Adam? Okay, so Honorable Adam, I think it will be fair to receive Honorable Victor for this question. So now Victor. Yeah, yeah.
Residential hostels. The main problem they face is finding houses to rent. Houses to rent, and looking at the location also, how closer it is to the university. Then again, one other thing is also the rent, as in the money they pay for the rent. It has come to my notice that some of these landlords increase the rent without any prior notice. Some of them also increase the rent outrageously. Some go as far as 100% increment over a space of a year. Okay, so in order to answer the question of how we intend to solve the problem, one main aim or task of the committee, as in non-resident student welfare committee, is to work to look for reputable, if not companies, maybe individuals that we can work with, maybe who have housing units, or people that we can work secure housing units for these students, you understand, and then work to secure it such that the finances will be comfortable for these students to secure. So if I am given that opportunity, I'll make sure that such aim of the committee is realized in my term of service. Is your question answered? Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Adam, did he ask your question, or you still have your question? You're okay now. Okay, so if the House approves that the honorable member on the floor, who happens to be Honorable Amewuda Dennis Delali, that he should be the non-resident Student Affairs Committee Chairpersons, can I hear the yeas? If there's anyone that disapproves, can I hear the nays? Okay, so by the power vested in me, Honorable Amewuda Dennis Delali, you've been approved by this Parliament as the Chairperson for the Non-Resident and Student Affairs Committee. Okay, can we have Honorable Kwame Waits William come in? Honorable Kwame Waits William. Okay, if he's not around, can we have Honorable Charlie David Edem come in? Okay, so briefly introduce yourself and tell the House about the committee chairperson or the portfolio you've been appointed for, and why you should be considered for this position.
Mr. Speaker of the House, good afternoon. My name is Charlie Adam David, nursing level 400 student, a former committee chair for NAMSA organizing committee. I've been appointed to hold the position of the project and program committee chair. I believe that every SRC, after its term of office, by the people, will be judged or proclaimed as best or bad, depending on the programs or the lives or things they're going to do on campus that benefited the student the more. And it is in my mind or in my heart to be of best interest in this SRC by bringing on board or helping facilitate programs with priority that will benefit students of the SRC. Thank you.
Okay, anyone with a question for the honorable member on the floor? Okay, so what we do is that before I give you the opportunity, when you're on your feet, you introduce yourself before you ask the question. Introduce yourself, your name and the portfolio as well. Thank you. Honorable. Yeah, yeah.
chairperson was no problem. And also the man for the people of the there are some committees which are really, really on my heart. One is the non-resident student affairs committee there. Unfortunately, I couldn't ask my question. The second one is the programs and projects committee. Mr. Muni, I would like to ask you, I know you have a lot of programs. So right now, if you have been approved, I want you to tell the House one single program that you are going to implement and why you think that program is necessary and you have planned to implement that program. Thank you.
This is a big question for the House. Anyways, as I said, programs to be initiated should be based on priorities. And I believe that I'm not going to work alone. I'm supposed to work with a committee. So I believe a committee will come up with a program, we sit down and bring out the best one for the people.
Honorable Adam, are you okay? So I think I'll allow the other honorable to speak. Honorable, kindly be on your feet, introduce yourself, and yeah.
Thank you very much. To be honest with you, I will say I don't know about that, but I will get more information and then get people updated when the time comes.
Okay, so I believe we don't have any other question to ask the honorable member on the floor. So if the House approves that Honorable Charlie David Edem should be the committee chairperson for the programs and projects, can I hear the yeas? Yes. If there's anyone that disapproves, can I hear the nays? Okay, so by the power vested in me, Honorable Charlie David Edem, you've been approved as the Programs and Projects Committee Chairperson.
Thank you.
Okay, can we have Honorable Osei Owusu Romeo? Oh, Honorable, you have? Please. Okay, let me listen. Yeah. Okay, fine. Okay, the reason why it's not out to everyone is because of the limited number we have. And you realize it's the same constitution the committee chairpersons have to look at and read. So if you want one personally, I can give it to you. Is that what you want? Okay, so. Okay, so Honorable, kindly introduce yourself, the portfolio you've been nominated for, and why the House should consider you for that position.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I'm Romeo Osei Owusu, Principal of Pharmacy, 400 of Pharmacy student. I'm elected to head the Committee for Academic Affairs. Academia, I would say, is the most prioritized goal for most students populace. And this committee is mandated and set up to ensure that the standard of academia set up by the school and the university management as a whole is maintained and even moved to a higher height. So myself, my committee members, the SRC Parliament, and the Executive Council will make sure that the standard set by the university and the SRC management of the academic level will be maintained in this academic year and the years ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone with a question for the honorable member on the floor? No one with a question. Okay, fine. So then we move on. If the House approves that Honorable Osei Owusu Romeo should be the chairperson for academic affairs, can I hear the yeas? Okay, those who disapprove, can I hear the nays? Okay, so by the power vested in me, Honorable Osei Owusu Romeo, you have been approved as the Academic Affairs Committee Chairperson. Okay. Honorable Kwame Waits William. Oh, so kindly introduce yourself, the portfolio you've been nominated for, and why the House should consider your appointment.
In the chair of the House, my greetings to you all. My name is William Kwame Witz, level 400 Disease Control, Bachelor of Public Health from the School of Public Health. And I'm nominated to chair the Scholarship Committee. And I believe that we, as students of the university, deserve to be in class to reap the benefits of why we are here, or fulfill the reason why we are here. And through the Scholarship Committee, we as an SRC would be able to help those who will not fulfill the requirements of the university for a reason which they might not be allowed to partake in academic activities. And I would like to help in that endeavor, help other students be in class by chairing the Scholarship Committee. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone with a question for the honorable member on the floor? Oh, a lot of hands. Wow. Okay. Before I take Honorable Victor, you've already spoken, so Honorable Member. Yeah. Kindly introduce yourself.
Thank you very much for your question. And I do register sentiments because I'm also part of those students. And I think the scholarship you're talking specifically is the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat one. Yes. So I was able to visit their office a couple of weeks ago. And what they said was that those whose fees were not paid by the Secretariat were not granted the scholarship. So in that case, if I am the chair, I will use the SRC, or like through the SRC, would petition that if these individuals have not been granted, they should be alerted so that they can make other provisions for payment of their fees. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable. Yeah.
Thank you, Honorable, for your question as well. And you asking of my knowledge of the scholarship scheme last academic year. Yes, I have seen the communiques about those who have been awarded, but as of their disbursements, I am not in the know of that. And your other question is whether the SRC should give students scholarship and whether it's feasible. And I say yes, the SRC should be in the position to help other students because the SRC is for the students. We make up the SRC. So if the SRC would be able to help keep these individuals in class so that they can complete their degrees here successfully, it would be in the best faith for the SRC to help when the SRC is possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we'll move on to the approval of the honorable member on the floor. If the House agrees that Honorable Kwame Waits William should be appointed or should be approved as a scholarship committee chairperson, can I hear the yeas? If there's anyone that disapproves, can I hear the nays? Okay, so by the power vested in me, Honorable Kwame Waits William, you've been approved as a chairperson for the scholarship committee. Okay, so there was one committee head position that was omitted, and that is the legal advisor. If we have the Honorable Ajari Enoch here, can he please step forward and introduce himself and tell the House why he should be considered for this position?
Mr. Speaker of the House, good afternoon. My name is Enoch Ajari, a level 500 medical student, and I have been nominated for the position as the legal advisor. I was just the media pass audit committee chairperson, and in my dealings, I got to know that there are certain laws of guiding transactions. So before you procure an item, there are certain legal procedures you need to follow, and there are certain things you have to look for in a particular company. And if those things are not done, the company can use that against you and will come for extra fund from you. So from that experience, through my audit work with the internal audit also, I got that the SRC needs someone who has experience in these areas. Apart from the transaction also, people might have known me for the legal issue that took place some time ago. Coming to best in the law, my debut was made in level 100. When I made debut, when it comes to legal counsel. So when it comes to about the law, putting the law together with things that we do daily, I think I have a little experience, and I want to enter to a new area where I can apply this experience to help the SRC, not to enter into a new contract that will end up affecting the SRC in terms of paying extra money. So I think this is why you should consider me as the legal advisor for the SRC. Thank you.
Okay, any honorable member in the House with a question? Okay, Honorable, you can kindly introduce yourself when you ask a question. We can't hear you, please.
Mr. Speaker of the House, that's a very nice question. But there's a thin line between a legal counsel and a legal advisor. So I am not coming in a position as a legal counsel, where I represent the SRC in court. My position is to advise them on decisions and contracts they are going to make. So it's not as a client, as a legal client or legal counsel in court. So that is not my role.
Okay. Honorable, you can.
Where we have legal issues outside the house, will it be your duty to suggest or to help the school get a legal practitioner, as you said? That's the question I'm asking. And your expertise when it comes to things like that. We have people like that as legal practitioners who serve last SRC. Was your duty to look for one?
Mr. Speaker of the House. Okay. Now, my duty is to even prevent the SRC from getting legal suits in terms of contracts. Now, when suits are being filed against the SRC, because I'm not the counsel, I have to give them advice on the steps to take in order to get it resolved. So if the SRC needs a legal counsel, then it depends on the case at hand. If the case is at a student level, and we can get a student representative as a legal counsel, yes, fair enough. But if the case is in such a way that we need someone from outside, but remember, anytime you go outside for a legal counsel, it does not come at a cheap price. And I also want to save the SRC and its packet and its coffers. That's why I'm even actually hoping that transactions do not bring any financial bending on us. So when it comes to that, yes, we can find out, but it depends on the case. And depends on the situation.
Any other question? Okay. So, if the House approves that Honorable Enoch Ajare should be the legal advisor of this SRC, can I hear the yeas? If we disapprove, can I hear the nays? Okay, so by the power vested in me, Honorable Enoch Ajare, you've been approved as a legal advisor of the SRC. So, with all the committee chairpersons that were just approved, can you please come forward for your swearing in? So, even as they come, we'll call upon the Right Honorable, His Lordship, the Chief Justice, Yabwa Osei Kwame, to help us with the swearing in.
Is it on? I have to on it. Page 60, Schedule 5. So, can I see your right hand up? So, like we did earlier, when I mentioned you mentioned your full name, having been appointed. This time around is appointment, so you mentioned appointed to the appointed. Then you mentioned your portfolio to the SRC Parliament. Then we continue. Please, am I clear? Do we all get it? Okay, so having been of the SRC, do hereby in the name of God swear that I will bear true faith,
of allegiance to the SRC Constitution, and uphold, preserve, protect, and defend the SRC Constitution, and expose with faithful zeal any act of commission or omission or any other matter that would undermine the SRC Constitution. So help me God. By the power vested in me as the SRC Chief Justice, I pronounce you duly sworn in as parliamentarians for this academic year. Congratulations.
Okay, congratulations. Can you kindly take your seats? Kindly ensure that you retain the constitution because there are more people who are going to be sworn in as well. Okay, still on the approval and swearing in of committee chairpersons. I think there are ad hoc committee members that the SRC Constitution still gives room for nominations to be made. So we still have some committees here that will still help prosper this noble SRC. And I'll mention the names of these people. Instead of coming forward, we want to save time. They'll kindly be on their feet. Then they excuse us, come one after the other, introduce themselves, and also tell us why they should be approved. Then we go through the same process. Then eventually they all come and stand here and they take in the oath. I hope we are all fine. Okay, so we have Honorable Blay Stella for the organizing committee. We have Honorable Tevia Rosemond for publicity committee. We have Honorable Adoma Ebenezer for transport committee. We have Honorable Pamba John Manawuba for the health and sanitation committee. We have Honorable Harris Ohene Nyako for the exchange program and foreign affairs. We have Honorable Adi Enoch Information Tech Committee, and Honorable Obeng Samuel for Sandwich Committee. If we have these committee chairpersons here, can they please be on their feet? If any of them are here, they moved out. Okay, sure. So we'll take the first person, that is Honorable Blay Stella.
The Speaker of the House. Good afternoon once again. So my name is Stella Blakewole, level 400 nursing student from the University of Health and Allied Sciences, as we all know. And this afternoon, I've been nominated as the organizing committee head. And for me, I've worked as a member of the organizing committee immediate past house of Uhas Src, that's the Nursing and Midwifery Association. And so I'll gladly appeal to the House to approve of me as the organizing committee head, with which I'm going to work hand in hand with the whole organizers and other organizers of the association to make Uhas a better place. Thank you.
Okay, over to the House. Any questions for the honorable member? Any questions? Okay, since there's no hand up, if the House approves of Honorable Blay Stella as the organizing committee chairperson, can I hear the yeas? If there's anyone that disapproves, can I hear the nays? Okay, so by the power vested in me, Honorable Kole Blay Stella has been approved as the organizing committee chairperson. Okay, can we have Adoma Ebenezer for transport committee?
Mr. Speaker of the House, honorable members, my name is Ebenezer Adomatano, and I'm a 300 physiotherapy student. I'm the immediate past Physiotherapy Students Association Public Relations Officer and the current PENSA Transport Committee Chair. And I think with these two positions, it is better to lead in this direction as the committee chair for the SRC. Thank you.
Okay, very brief. Any question for the honorable member on the floor? Okay. So since there's no question, if the House approves that Honorable Adome Ebenezer should be approved as a Transport Committee chairperson, can I hear the yeas? If there's any disapproval, can I hear the nays? Okay, by the power vested in me, Honorable Adoma Ebenezer has been approved as the Transport Committee chairperson. Okay, can we have Honorable Harris Ohene Nyafo?
Good afternoon. Chair of the House, my name is Harris Ohene-Nyakon, level 400 class rep, and I've been appointed Exchange and International Relations Affairs Officer. With time, I hope that every activity that has to do with local and international exchanges will be reformed during my tenure. We hope to start it. If we can complete it, that will be very, very, very great for all of us. So that's basically what we are going to do here. Thank you.
So, any question for the honor? Okay. So kindly.
All the latest news and updates on campus.
I know Ghanaians. Ghanaians would never accept this.
We can now speak live to our correspondent Nathaniel, who can tell us more on examination.
Well, that is how we end today's edition of the News at 6.
News at 6, every Fridays at 6 p.m.
Thank you very much. Concerning arrival of South Koreans like here for exchange, there's not much knowledge from my side, but what I can say is that in able to help have more exchanges here, there requires a lot of processes in terms of bilateral exchanges or unilateral exchanges on both parties. You need to have communications with both schools, even from departmental levels, even from school dean levels. So all of that, there's a procedure to run down. And I think with needed steps and then with correct guidance.
Other question or concern? Okay, so moving on, if the House approves that, there's a hand. Okay, sure. Honorable. Yeah.
So, based on the duties of my committee, in addition to all of that, I put it to myself and then to my other colleagues as to bringing about local, as in boosting local exchanges even before we think about international ones. Because if our local stance is not as strong, or our local foundations is not as strong as that, we won't be allowed to even visit out, irrespective of COVID restrictions and COVID matters and then other health issues that are going around in the world. So it's with time. Yes.
Well, we are getting more than one question now. Anyway, Honorable.
All the latest news and updates on campus.
I know Ghanaians. Ghanaians would never accept this.
We can now speak live to our correspondent.
I think as committee chairman, that is where I come in play, to talk to as many departmental heads as possible, and then devise a strategy as to putting people not only in the voter region. When I talk about local exchanges, I'm not talking about dealing with just the voter region. I'm talking about Ghana. So I'm talking about exchanges between students in Uhas and then other universities as well. So with Sonam and then other schools as well, there'll be discussions as well. I think there's enough time for discussions and then plans to be put in place concerning putting exchanges on a different level in Uhas. So I think if you give me some time, I'll be able to provide some results.
Okay, I think we've taken enough questions. So, Honorable, rephrase your question for the next committee chairperson. So, if the House approves that Honorable Harris Ohenenyaku should be approved as the exchange program in foreign affairs, can I hear the yeas? If you disapprove, can I hear the nays? Okay, so by the power vested in me, Honorable Harris Ohenenyaku has been approved as the exchange program in foreign affairs. Okay, can we have Honorable Adi Enoch come in? Paddy, okay, sure.
Oh yes, it's your girl Christina again, and I am back with a big bang. Uhas and its environment, where I and the team will dig deep, both on and off campus, to bring you all the juicy stuff you would want to hear. When the news hit the street, we would be there to cover it. All the trending issues would also be delved into, where we would have a short interview with both students and non-students, their views on these issues. I can't wait, and I know you can't wait either. Subscribe to Uhas Base TV now for all the juicy stuff. Guys, let's have fun. See you when I see you.
Any contributions, suggestions, or anyone agreeing to what the honorable member has on the floor?
I would say I object what he said. Although we know time is going, it's equally relevant if the House is aware of the people who are taking the relevant positions that we have in the SRC. Thank you.
So there is a motion on the floor. Are we going for the lumping, or we are taking them one by one? Honorable Son. So I think hearing from the three honorable members, we have just Honorable Adi Enoch and the PRO. So probably we can look at, and I think the editorial board committee chairperson was also omitted in the first list. So we can have the three of them. Let's have Honorable Adi Enoch, Honorable Clenham, and Honorable Tansen Kelvin. The three just come. Introduce yourselves. Why you should be given the position, and
Mr. Speaker in the House, good afternoon. My name is Adi Enoch, a level 400 public health nursing student. I'll be very, very glad to lead the IT committee in solving some of the problems students face on campus when it comes to IT-related problems. Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Chairperson, the House, good afternoon. My name is Yevmo Clenham, JA, a level 300 PA student in Uhas, and I have been appointed to serve as the SRC's PRO. And I will ensure that information that must be given to students is given to them on time, in time, and at the right place. Thank you very much.
The Speaker of the House, my name is Kelvin Tansen, a level 400 biochemistry student, and I've been appointed to assume the position of editorial committee chairperson. If sworn in, I will ensure that the branch of the SRC, anything relating to advertisement, working closely with other committee and other boards to start the SRC media project or anything relating to SRC journalism would be done in time in my tenure. Thank you.
okay. So any questions for any of the honorable members? You raise your hand, you introduce yourself, and you tell us who your question is directed to. Okay, Honorable Victor.
Thank you. The Speaker of the House. So, all of you saw the Fix Uhas Roads activism that went around, which led to the construction. So I was the one who designed the flyer. I have worked closely with most of the main media houses in Ghana currently. I've worked with some of the biggest graphic designers, that's got Chairpersons and some of them. Yes, I'm personally a graphic designer, photographer too, and I was the outgoing deputy editor-in-chief for Gambims. Yes, thank you. I hope I've answered your question.
Okay. Any other question? Any other question? Okay. Honorable.
Yes, please. Thank you. The Speaker of the House. So, two things. Number one, when you talk about social media, it has to do with networking. Networking is what promotes the the brand of people, bringing people together into a global space. So the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to interconnect all the schools to UHAS. So during the University of Ghana elections, we saw even University of Ghana flyers flying in UHAS. And we want to get to that stage where things happening in UHAS will actually reach other schools, which will bring people to then know that, oh, okay, this is also what's happening in UHAS. And to do that, I'm currently putting together a team where we'll get linked to most of the main editorial committees in all the schools. Number two, when you look at University of Ghana and the KNUS, the main powerhouses of Ghana in terms of universities, we see aside the SRC editorial, their journalism is strong. If you go to University of Ghana, there's the Universe Radio, which is the main campus radio. When you go to KNUS, they have the voice of KNUS. So we are trying to, the WUCOM has already spearheaded that, and I would like to congratulate them on their starting their media project, which we are going to work closely with them. So I personally, my cousin is one of the heads of Universe Radio, and I have a very good friend in Voice of Kenya. So I'm going to work closely with all manner of people, and they'll come on board. They'll come to UHAS actually to give us a talk on how to actually also promote our journalism in the school. Thank you.
Okay, so if there any other question for any other member standing here? Okay, if there are no questions, if the House will approve them one by one, not as a group. So, can we have Honorable Tansin Kelvin? If the House approves that Honorable Tansin should serve as a committee head for this administration, can I have the yeas? If you disapprove, can I have the nays? Okay, so by the power vested in me, Honorable Tansin Kelvin, you've been approved as a committee head for the editorial board. Can we have Honorable Adi Enoch step forward? Thus, if the House approves that Honorable Enoch Adi should be the Information Tech Committee chairperson, can I hear the yeas? If they disapprove, can I hear the nays? Okay, so by the power vested in me, Honorable Adi Enoch, you've been appointed or you've been approved as the Information Tech Committee chairperson.
Thank you.
Can we have Honorable Clenam step forward? If the House approves that Honorable Clenam should be the PRO of this SRC, can I hear the yeas? If you disapprove, can I have the nays? Okay, the yeas have it. So, by the power vested in Honorable Clenam, you've been approved by this Parliament as a PRO. So all ad hoc committee chairpersons that were just approved, can you please step forward, even as His Lordship, the Chief Justice, helps us with the swearing.
So like we did before, if I mention I, you mention your name, having been, then you say you've been appointed, then your position, then you continue. Are we on the same page? Kindly raise up your right hand. So I, having been appointed as to the SRC Parliament of the SRC, do hereby in the name of God swear that I will bear true faith of allegiance to the SRC Constitution, and uphold, preserve, protect, and defend the SRC Constitution, and expose with faithful zeal any act of commission or omission or any other matter that would undermine the SRC Constitution. So help me God. By the power vested in me as the Chief Justice of the SRC, I pronounce you duly sworn in and members of Parliament for this academic year. Congratulations. Page 59, Schedule 4. Are we ready to go? Kindly raise your right hand. So on assuming office as a member of the Executive Committee of the SRC, do hereby in the name of God swear that I will strive at all times to preserve, protect, and defend the SRC Constitution, especially the principles of meticulous accountability, and that I hereby wholly dedicate myself to the service and welfare of the student of the University of Health and Allied Sciences. I further solemnly swear that I shall not be found wanting in the discharge of responsibilities as a member of the Executive Committee, as a member of the Executive Committee of the SRC, nor place myself in such a position as to frustrate the efficient functioning of the Executive Committee of the SRC. So help me God. Please, can someone give you water? So help me God. So by the power vested in me as the SRC Chief Justice, I declare you as members of the Executive Committee for the academic year. Congratulations.
where you are, but there are some parliamentarians that were sworn in that they are still in the observer seat. Can they please take a seat forward? Okay. So this again to the House. When we move on to the election and swearing in of the Speaker straight away without passing a resolution. Can you please address the House and probably reintroduce yourself? Okay. So, any honorable member who heard what I said can repeat it for all of us to hear. Any honorable member? Okay, fine.
For the best of his knowledge, who are running for the Speaker of Parliament. So definitely one person will be elected and the other will withdraw. So the person that will withdraw should still have that chance of standing for the Chief Justice. That's what I mean.
That is if the person wants to, not should still have. That is if the person wants to.
The person can still stand.
No, he said should. Okay, honorable.
The Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
So the Speaker of Parliament position and the Chief Justice position, yes, they are entirely different portfolios, but they are not very different in terms of execution because we still deal fundamentally with the Uhas Src constitution. A parliament here we interpret, we do not interpret, but we base more
necessary details, you could tell us about when they picked the forms and okay, so instead of he giving every detail, we'll just go straight to he introducing them. They will come and introduce themselves individually and go through the normal ordeal. Then we do the voting. And for your information, this is not going to be a yay and nay voting. It's going to be an electoral commissioner's full responsibility as well. Okay, so thank you, Honorable. Kindly take the floor.
So my name is Hubert, and a doctor of pharmacy student, level 300. And I will say thank you again for giving me this privilege to talk. A big thank you to His Lordship, Mr. Yuki, and Mr. Hagan, and then with respect to all the House members, I say good afternoon. Beginning with, two people picked forms for the speakership, which is one Miss Priscilla Day and Mr. Whitman. I'm so sorry if the pronunciation is not very likely. So I would like to call them here, and then they will make their formalities themselves. Thank you very much. So Mr. Whitman and then Miss Ade. Thank you.
Okay, so before we move on, we'll let them be seen by the House. Then the other person will excuse us as the one on the floor decides to give more information about him or herself. So, House, these are the two honorable members who picked forms for the speakership position. So, I think one of you have to step out for us, and the other person. Okay, so Honorable Ada, you can just pick the podium and just a brief introduction about yourself. Then you have the opportunity to sell your message to the honorable members who are also listening to you.
The Speaker of the House. I am Ade Priscilla, a fifth-year medical student, and I'm vying for the Speaker of Parliament position. Since childhood, I've always been interested in leadership roles, and this was seen in my early days in JHS and SHS, where I picked up role. This journey did not end. It continued throughout my tertiary education when I got to Uhas in 2016. I started off as the MSA General Secretary, where I performed well and was recommended as the Clerk of Parliament for the 4th Parliamentary Chamber. Whilst as the clerk, I had the opportunity to learn relevant skills such as good communication and relational skills. I had the opportunity to be an affable team player, and I learned the virtue of punctuality as well. When we took up office after the induction of the immediate past SRC and executive and parliamentary executive, we got to know that there were few to little records of Parliament. And as we can all agree, Parliament is a house of records. And if there are no records serving as a foundation for this Parliament, there's some type of delay in the running of the Parliament. So together with the other leaders of the Parliament and my deputy clerk, we made it a point to get these parliamentary records and to make sure that the ones we develop ourselves are kept safe. So we formed this mini database on a laptop. We made sure that every hard copy of any document that passed through the Parliament, there was a soft copy back as a backup. And this was kept safely on a laptop, and also it was sent to the various emails as another software, soft copy backup. I consider my strength to be having excellent organization skills, being a good team player, and also having the virtue of patience. I consider being a little too competitive as a weakness, but then that I'm still working on. As a future doctor, the importance of teamwork cannot be overemphasized. In the healthcare setting, various health professionals come together to provide the best health care to our patients. This can be applied in this house, where we have various students representing the various groups of students coming here to achieve a common goal, which is to make the best decision in the interest of the students we represent here. The Speaker of Parliament position is the highest position in this house, and I believe anybody who occupies such a position should have three main qualities. First being competence. The person should be competent enough, have the right qualities to be in that position. Secondly, the person should have the jurisdictional competence. You don't have to be just right for the job, but you should also know what the job is about and perform as such. The third is loyalty. You should be committed and dedicated to this job, and I believe I have all these qualities. We are halfway through the semester, the first semester, and SRC needs to perform some constitutionally mandated functions, and they may not be able to perform this without a parliament. As such, there's a need to elect someone with experience or in parliamentary proceedings, and I believe with my relevant experience as the former clerk of parliament under the 4th parliamentary chamber, I'm confident I will succeed if I'm elected as the Speaker of Parliament for the 5th parliamentary chamber. Thank you very much.
Okay, so for this position, I believe we can invite about 2 to 3 honorable members who want to question her. So anyone with a question can just lift up your hand and you'll be called to speak. Honorable. Okay, Honorable, can you please take a seat? Honorable, please. Yeah.
Members to report to Parliament early. Because today, Parliament was supposed to start at 11 on July, and we started around 4:45. So I want to know what as a teacher is very important. Is there any punishment for people who come to me and awards for people who come to me? Thank you.
The Speaker of the House. Thank you, Honorable, for the question. With the issue of lateness and, let me add, absenteeism to parliamentary house, and it was, let me say, somehow not rectified, we have standing orders, and perhaps would be referred to the disciplinary committee, and they will give out the right sanctions. And the sanction, as per our standing orders, could be taking your vote, your right to vote in parliament, taking your allowance, and the last one is you can be sacked from parliament. So with the help of the disciplinary committee, we'll make sure that these people who fault are brought to book. Thank you. Pardon? The awards. As parliamentarians, the right code of conduct is to report to the parliament on time. And I think it's something you should do, and we shouldn't necessarily award you for doing your thing, the right thing. Thank you.
Okay, before Honorable Sam speaks, I think Honorable Fadio.
Thank you. When I was the clerk of parliament, the first problem I encountered, together with my deputy, was that there were little to no records to make reference to set as precedents for running of the parliament. But we made it a point to contact some of the past clerks and some of the past speakers of parliament. Some were helpful, some were not, but still we persisted. And the little we got, we made sure we kept it. And make sure that our documents will also be available for the next set of administration that will come on. The second issue I encountered was dissemination of information. Prior to taking up the clerk of parliament position, I rarely saw minutes being shared around and minutes being available to the students properly. And when we took up office again, together with my deputy, we made sure that whatever goes on in parliament that students are supposed to know, we make sure we deliver according to the stipulated time in the Constitution. Thank you.
Okay, I can see a lot of hands. Okay, so how many hands do we have? Including Honorable Sam. So after we take these three, we are not taking any other hand. So Honorable Sam. Mrs. Speaker.
The Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
Okay, so Honorable Sam, your first question. As I said, the Standing Orders of Parliament says that if it's consistent more than twice, we report. And we will take attendance with the help of the clerk if we get that office. We make sure we take attendance and write down the time everybody reports. And we'll be liberal to give maybe 10 minutes extension for everybody to get here. But if you are past the 10 minutes, as the standing order says, we still have to refer you to the disciplinary committee of the Parliament for the appropriate sanctions to be given. And secondly, I think it's an error, because I like to believe that our constitution involves, and our constitution covers all of us, both males and females. So I like to think that it's an error. Thank you.
Yeah.
So the word Mr. Okay, it's communication and communication, sorry. Right, so how you take it, or he, or her, right? So although there's gender in relation everywhere, but you realize that we refer some people, they are still females, but we refer them as he. You understand? Or a man, like the word man in the Bible, you understand? So the man goes to everyone. The word Mr. there, even if it wasn't a mistake, it is a quick linguistic. It's something very wonderful. You understand? All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so before the other two questions, I think we are still trying to correct a technical error in the Constitution, right? So, this.
So, Mr. Speaker, I think the Constitution is a bit the male gender bias. So, like you said, it's a technical error. But she would be addressed as Madam Speaker, assuming Parliament has put her. Even when you look at Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who is the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, she's addressed as Madam Speaker. I'm sure you will hear that. So she's not going to be addressed as Mr. Speaker, but Madam Speaker. Like you rightly said, it's an error which ought to be corrected.
Okay, thank you very much for the clarity. Okay, the other two hands I saw. Kindly, yes, okay. Introduce yourself and your question. Please be a bit audible. Because of the nose marks, we are not able to hear you well. So when you stand and you are talking, try as much as possible to be very audible.
And sorry, I didn't get the last part. To promote. Okay. The Speaker of the House. Thank you for the question. So, when I assume office, my main role is to make sure that the mission and the reason why we have the Parliament is my office. I'll make sure that this is done. Also,
when you look at the Constitution, the last time it was reviewed was in 2016, if I'm right.
and I'm aware it's time per the Constitution. It's time to review the Constitution, but I can't only make that decision that the Constitution needs to be reviewed. I'll have to consult the SRC Executive and the Chief Justice. Thank you.
Okay, so I believe, I think we're supposed to just ask 2 questions, and we're taking about 5 already. So it's enough. Honorable President Free, thank you very much for the time. Okay, so I think you can also move out. Okay. Okay, so I think it's a portfolio where the GPA will have to be inspected, and I'm believing that has already been done. It's been duly done. Yes, please.
Yeah, the CPA of Madam Priscilla,
Okay. Okay, thank you. So I think she can step out. for us. Can we please have the next person come in?
Speaker of the House, I am Vitzman Elio Johnson, a fourth-year pharmacy student, Doctor of Pharmacy student. I'm currently the Vice President of the Debate Society, Uhas. I'm currently the Communications Director of the Ghana University Debates Association. I also couple to be right from Mr. Derek Asare's, His Excellency Dr. Derek Asare's time through to His Excellency Norman's time, and then to His Excellency Apalu's time, and then even to today. I observe the Parliament a lot. Two things I find very problematic and I want to solve as a Speaker of Parliament. The first thing is on the representation asymmetry that exists. So we can see that there is a gross representation asymmetry on both campuses. In as much as, yes, it's running through your mind that it is not my job. Yes, I understand that. But then I think the Parliament can do better in terms of representation. So both campuses should, if not have an equal representation, should have something that approximates to an equal representation, so that every decision that we take as a Parliament is going to be reflective of both campuses, because we have to come together as a school. The second thing is on the dissemination of information as a Parliament. So the reason why most of students of Uhas don't really disregard the SRC, don't really regard the SRC Parliament, is because the kind of information that comes in doesn't trickle down well for them to assimilate. So most of our disseminations are filled with so much English, so much technical terms they don't understand. But then the second thing, the Parliament is not also that like sold out to the extent that they are most likely to relate to whatever thing is happening in the Parliament. How do I intend to solve this? We model the Ghana Parliament. We are under the jurisprudence of the Ghana Parliament and also the British Parliament. And so we all know that the Parliament of Ghana has a Parliamentary Service Board, which is made up of the Speaker of Parliament, the Clerk of Parliament, and then 4 other people who ensure that aside normal parliamentary sitting, the efficiency of the Parliament is also maximized outside normal parliamentary sitting. How? We are able to look out for the specific problems that the Parliament faces outside, and the Speaker coupled with the Clerk is able to solve that. Second thing, the Clerk is able to, we are able to find a way to communicate better whatever happens in the Parliament to the general public, so that when the baton is handed over, you can hand it over to someone who will lose the race, or you can hand it to someone who will continue and win the race. The decision lies on you to make. Thank you very much.
Okay, so at least the opportunity was given to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A deal. Okay. Honorable, you've all spoken already. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a lady who hasn't spoken yet. So let me see the hands again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I believe it will be quick. So no other hand will be picked apart from these ones. Let's start with the lady. Then we move to Honorable Enoch. Then we come to those who have already spoken.
very much. So this policy is going to be mechanized in two ways. First of all, I don't think the Hohoe campus is so not like, will not be so able to model a parliament on itself. So I think on mechanization, we can set a model parliament in the Hohoe campus where they can bring out their issues, solve their own issues, bring it up to the general parliament, and we are able to make sure that we're able to assimilate, debate it well, and make sure that like we also agree on that front. The second thing is that we can advocate. So as a speaker, I can give recommendations in as much as I can't debate about anything that happens in the parliament. So we can advocate or advise that the president ensures that there is a form of representation on that front, because it's my prerogative as a speaker to ensure that there's like an approximate representation in the House. If I'm not able to do so, especially in a school where we don't largely vote for our parliamentarians, then we think whatever we decide here is largely not reflective of whatever thing that we want to solve. So on these two levels, I'm able to show you how we mechanize this policy. All right, so thank you very much for the question. The first of, let me deal with the feasibility. So the fact that I propose it doesn't really mean that I'm the one going to institutionalize it. So in as much as the committee heads have been elected, I think I can propose it for the next president, or we can decide as a house that this is a proposal. The next president should model it and make sure that it happens. But then the second thing on the idea of, oh, there is that like representation already because Hohoe just has one school. If we are doing that, we have to look at, one, the kind of people that make up that one school. Is there truly a reflective like representation of those people on those campuses? Two, when they come to the larger parliament, do they really get their voices heard because of that idea that, oh, they are small, and so like whatever happens, we can't share equally, and so, well, we can just fiat every policy and say, well, let's just do this because we are majority, let's go with us. Once it benefits us, like, let's just not care about them because, I mean, even if the whole US is affected, they are less affected. So we should find a way to ensure that everything that we do is something that helps them as well. And that's why I'm saying that even if it's not equal, it should approximate to a form of equal representation that these guys also benefit in the long run. So I've been able to show you how, even if we don't achieve equality on that front, it should approximate to a certain form of equality where we get all the utility that these guys need. And then secondly, I've been able to show you that I don't really have to institutionalize the policy. I can propose it for the next administration to institutionalize it. Thank you. right, thank you very much. So let me just deal with your second question. So the fact that it wasn't really fleshed out in my speech doesn't mean we can't do it. And I must commend you for bringing it on board. It means it's something that we can look at on that front. But then your first question as to whether or not I can be able to multitask to the extent that it won't affect the US Parliament. I think this is something I've been doing largely from SHS, because I've held many positions simultaneously and I've made sure that I've performed better in all fields. But then the second thing is that I'll most likely I'll be handing over in the debate society soon, like just next week or so. I'll be handing over. But then I think when the Parliament has a meeting, there's always a chance to compromise. We think Parliament does not really have impromptu meetings, right? And so I can be able to schedule my time better. But then even if there's an impromptu meeting, I think priorities exist. And so this is an SRC Parliament, which I have to give a priority to. I moderate the Parliament as compared to going to Ghana universities like debate maybe council, where I don't really moderate that Parliament, or I don't really moderate that meeting, and I can ask for permission to be excused out of that meeting. I think priorities exist, and weighing that priorities, I can be able to manage like every schedule and every meeting of the Parliament. So that really shouldn't be an issue. So, thank you very much for that question. When you read the Constitution, so let me use your words against you a little. So, when you read the Constitution on that front, it says, we'll institutionalize a General Assembly on both campuses. What I said is that we'll model a Parliament, right? So, it still will look like that General Assembly that exists, but then now, everything that comes from them has that serious traction that doesn't exist now in the Parliament. How many times do we really discuss what happens in these General Assemblies in the Federal Parliament? We rarely do that. In a world where we model that kind of Parliament and we give relevance to that kind of General Assembly, like minutes or anything that they discuss, it becomes better for the whole campus. And that's when they will feel like they are part of the SRC and they are part of that federal institution, and not just having to board their cars and come here and come and sit down, and we don't really discuss things that affect them inherently. That's why I said we'll model a Parliament, and you didn't say we'll create a novel Parliament and institutionalize it at that place. Thank you.
The Speaker of the House. I think by waiting for my turn, almost everyone has attacked the question I had initially. Since everybody has gone for bits of it, I will just say the last part I have over. First of all, I'd like to commend all the other parliamentarians for bringing to light the fact that when you do mention an equal representation of both Hohoy and Ho on this in this parliament, you might have erred in a way, because first of all, parliamentarians are even now on board, and we are now about to approve the speaker, as was So if you use that as a basis for me to say I should vote for you, then you have not said anything.
Okay.
Because there will be a new president. And this new president will still have to appoint per constitution his parliamentarians or committee heads. And if he appoints, in fact, this time, if he decides that, oh, only the provincial head, or those, and he appoints all, but you might have not changed anything. So if now we are asking you what you are going to do, that as parliamentarians you are going to change it. I like your communication. I think the other members will, I agree to that. But in terms of making a solid point and making a solid case, I think you will have to come back a bit stronger, especially with your issue on representation.
Okay, so let me just answer the question in two folds. So first of all, I think, honorable member, it will be very upset to say once we are not sure that a policy will happen, we shouldn't vote based on a policy being proposed. Because then you wouldn't go and vote in the like in Ghanaian elections, because the presidents cannot assure you that they can do, like, they can build 500 schools in just 4 years, right? So I think you can't really base on that metric to say you won't vote. But then even if I give you two things, even if one is so absurd and it wouldn't work per your case, I think the other one will work. Parliamentary, like committee, it will work. It's something we can do in my tenure, which is something novel that comes from me. So even if you are not voting for me because of one thing that sounds so really absurd to you, I think I give you another justification as to why you should vote for me. And that's why you can't fiat like and say, oh, like, don't vote for him because we can't see what he can do. And so, like, I mean, yeah, thank you.
So I think you do the Speaker of the House. I think you do misunderstand me. I did comment the second point. If you were listening, I did say I agree totally with the second point because you did mention it. The other person too did mention it. However, if you tell me I go to vote on the policy, I don't know what happened in terms of government election, then you are doubting my intelligence. Because if I'm going to vote for the MVP and election, I know that the president, given the right tools and the right capacity, putting certain frameworks, these policies, they are more than capable of being executed. Now, you are saying that as a Speaker of Parliament, when a new president assumes position, your speakership ends. So as a Speaker of Parliament, you can't institute for the next SRC Parliament. It's simple. So if I tell you that it is flawed based on what you are saying, and it is more like a futuristic plan to mean who, I'm speaking based on facts. Not because I'm imagining. No, I'm telling you that in the next US SRC Parliament, you have no hope. Please, I hope my point is clear. Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much. Let me just answer that question. So when you see repeat plans in state, you don't really have to be in power for it to be institutionalized. So if we discuss as a house, and the house is able to say that we think incoming presidents should be able to model a way to select their their committee heads through this path, it means if the house is able to understand that it should be binding, it looks like the incoming president has a prerogative to go by the binding law. That's why I'm not saying I'm going to impose it on the other president to do it. But then when the house, because the house is the biggest legislative body of the SRC, so if the house is able to agree and institutionalize that, when you as the next president comes in, it looks like you are bound to go by that. And so you can't just fiat and say it won't happen because you think the next SRC president that's going to come, like, is not going to be bound by my speakership. I mean, it doesn't really work that way.
Okay, so I think it's okay. The questions are enough. We won't take any more questions again. Okay, hold on. Okay, so I think, Honorable, you can please step out for us and call upon EC in the house. Order. Before we run this election, I'm sure after this we'll have another speaker, so I wouldn't have the opportunity to say this. Today, the issue about our lateness is something we really need to look at. I think for some of the committee heads who were going to be appointed, we communicated to you that there was a specific time, about 30 minutes we were supposed to be here. Most of you were not here. The executive committee members as well, about an hour before time, they were also not here. So I'm thinking that before our certain allowances will be given unto us today, this room, the chairs out there, will have to be put in order by this August House seated here before you have the right to see the federal treasurer to sign and pick that amount of money. Because it was just myself, Honorable Patrick, and Honorable Vivian that puts this place in order and swept here. And you are comfortably seated. So before you take your certain allowance today, this wouldn't have any considerations from anyone. I am stating, before you take your certain allowance today, you have to ensure that this place is put in order. Objection over. Please, let's continue.
All right, thank you very much. The Speaker of the House, unfortunately, I wanted a marker to inscribe their names on the board here. That is the respective people who were picking or who picked the speakership portfolios. I'm very sorry I didn't get one. So I will speak up their names, respectively following another, and you will see. So I'll assign one to Priscilla Adai, and then two to Mr. Whitman. Yes.
Please, the GPA of our second aspirant, has it been checked and confirmed? Yes. So, checking officer. Okay, so above. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so like I was saying, so one will go for Priscilla Adai and two will go for Wisman Johnson. Wisman Johnson. So one for Adai and two for Mr. Johnson. So we will share pieces of papers around, and then you just put your favorites on them respectively. Thank you very much.
So before then, I believe there are observers here. So we'll have to distinguish between the observers and the actual parliamentarians that need to vote. And I think before we move on, we need to do a head count so that we've done that already.
No, that's exactly what I'm about.
Yeah, so that we do a head count before we vote.
All right. So can I see by hand, or even by hand, the parliamentarians around? By hand, please. Mr. Frimpong, please help me count. Please, for the sake of diligency, someone can also count so that there will be compatibility here. Let's count again. Please, raise up your hands again, please. Sorry. All right, so we had 34 votes, 34 participants, parliamentarians to participate in this election we are going to have. And if we count, after everything, when we count and it is above the mark, that is the 34 countdown, we will have to re-elect again. Please, I hope we are okay with that. Thank you very much. So we can start the exercise now. So there will be papers passed around for you to, again, Priscilla Adai for 1, and then 2 is Mr. Wiseman Johnson Yuku for 2. No, not with, no, not.
Sign the back. Sign the back. There you go.
Okay, so we are still at the so as you can see right now, it's still the election of the Speaker of Parliament. So parliamentarians are now about to vote.
I think you should know this. I was thinking I was the presiding officer, so wisdom-wise, I wasn't supposed to vote, but since Constitution and wisdom is far apart, it means that I am part of the members to vote. So we have 35 members now. All right, thank you. So when we count and it's above 35, it means we have to start the election again. Sir, please, you can start.
So we are still watching the live coverage of the election of the Speaker of Parliament for the next academic year. So just like the Speaker, the Electoral Commissioner said, there are 35 parliamentarians present. Each of them will have a vote to select one person. Each of them will have a vote to select one person who will become the Speaker of Parliament. So if there is more than 35 votes, then there's going to be a re-vote. So that is what is happening right now. As you can see, parliamentarians are yet to deciding who to vote. Like you saw earlier, there were 2 names or 2 persons, a male and a female, all going for the position of the Speaker of the Parliament. Now, no one knows who is going to be. It can be any of them. It can be Johnson or it can be Priscilla. So we are all here voting. For the voting is only for parliamentarians. Only parliamentarians are allowed to vote for the Speaker of the Parliament. Now, as you know, the Speaker of Parliament plays a very important role in Parliament. In most cases, the Speaker presides over the sitting of Parliament, help coordinates all the activities in Parliament. So we are just seeing the live shot here at the Trafalgar, where the parliamentarians are sitting and they are about to vote on who to become the next Speaker of Parliament.
Should I come over with the names and the numbers? All right, so 1 for Priscilla Adai and 2 for Mr. Wiseman. Okay,
Please, do we all have the sheets? Yeah. Any parliamentarian without the sheets? Any parliamentarian without the sheets? Please.
We do all have the signature, but when it comes to
Yes, so in short, you can see the Speaker of Parliament directing the activities as we are about to. Sorry, not the Speaker of Parliament, but rather the Electoral Commissioner. That's the Electoral Commission standing here in person of.
Thank you, all right. So, Mr.
In person of Hubert, who is about to lead the entire Parliament to vote for a Speaker of Parliament. Now again, the Speaker of Parliament is going to coordinate the activities of the Parliament as well as perform other duties. So currently we have just two persons that are standing for the position of the Speaker of Parliament. We have Johnson and Priscilla. The two of them are so far the only persons that are standing for the position of the Speaker of Parliament. Both of them are from the whole campus, obviously. Now, talking about the profile of the speakers, now most of us know Johnson. Johnson is a member of the Uhas Debate Society. He's also a member of the Ghana University Debate Committee. And for Priscilla was the previous chairperson of the previous parliament. So she was the chairperson of the she was the clerk of parliament, sorry. She was the clerk of parliament of the previous parliament. So we are still seeing parliamentarians deciding on who to vote next. Like I said earlier, there are 35 parliamentarians present that are about to decide who will be the next Speaker of Parliament. So, according to the Electoral Commission, if there is more than 35 votes, then there will be a re-vote. So the Speaker of Parliament, I think everyone is done voting right now. So they are going to collect and count the vote. Like, you know, this is an election.
Is there anyone with any sheet that we the sheet we sent around? Okay. All right.
This is an election, therefore it's a duty of the Electoral Commission to conduct an election. Now, mind you, we are still waiting to hear on them in terms of the SRC presidential election. So you can see in short the Electoral Commissioner, the Deputy Electoral Commissioner. Yes, so they are currently counting the votes. As you can see, it's a very discreet process. So each member must decide who they vote for secretly on a piece of paper, and the paper is handed over to the Electoral Commissioner. Then the Electoral Commissioner, together with his first assistant, will count it and decide and announce the winner. So it is a democratic process rather than an autocratic process. So again, we have just two people who are standing for the position of the Speaker. So the first person is Johnson, and the second person is Priscilla. One male, one female. Now they have been vetted according to the EC. They have met all the requirements to become Speaker of Parliament, and then the Parliament House has asked them questions, and they have proved themselves worthy to stand for the election of the Speaker of Parliament. Now, mind you, the Speaker of Parliament is an important role in the Parliament House of any country, and the Speaker of Parliament presides over the activities that is done in the Parliament. The Speaker of Parliament plays so many important roles. Yes, so if you are still watching, you can send us your comments. If you are watching on YouTube, just comment down below, as well as remember to like, to subscribe, and share the link so we get more people to watch. So you can comment your thoughts, anything you are thinking about, you can comment it below if you are watching on YouTube. So you are still live at the Parliament sitting of the SRC. This is actually the first Parliament sitting. Now, after the election of the Speaker, there's going to be the State of the Src Address, the President's first address, the acting President. Remember, where he's going to give his speech on the SRC. So just after this, coming up is going to be the State of the SRC Address by the acting SRC President, His Excellency Hagan Quino. So you can still see the Electoral Commissioner, the Secretary, and the First Deputy Speaker, First Deputy Electoral Commissioner counting the votes, counting the votes. Like again, there are only two members, there are only two candidates who are standing for the Speaker of Parliament.
All right, the Speaker of the House. Thank you very much. So, after counting, again, we assigned one for Priscilla Dai and two for Mr. Wiseman. So after counting, out of the 35 votes, number one, which was Ms. Adai, had 22 votes, and 13 went for Mr. Wiseman. So I hereby pronounce Ms. Adai as the Speaker of Parliament. Thank you very much. So meaning that the House still gives Mr. Wiseman a privilege to go for his lordship position, which is the Chief Justice, if only he wills or he wants to. Thank you for your participation. Thank you very much.
All right, so he has announced that Ms. Priscilla has won the election, so she's now the Speaker of Parliament-elect. She's yet to be sworn in by the Chief of Justice. So there were two candidates, Johnson and Priscilla. So Priscilla won the election, so she's now the Speaker of Parliament-elect. So she'll be sworn into office by the Chief of Justice in person of Yeboah Isaac. So then this leaves another option for the other candidate. So the other candidate can decide to become the Chief Justice. So it's two cases here. If you don't get the Speaker, then you get the Chief Justice. Now this is backed by the Constitution. This is backed by the Constitution of the SRC. That whoever stands for the position of the Speaker of Parliament and doesn't get it, the person can decide to go for the Chief Justice.
Order in the House. Order in the House. Don't force him to do anything which at the end of the day will show you. I understand the school coach want to see the association head. All association heads kindly see the sports committee chairperson, Honorable Victor, for a short announcement. So I give them the permission to be there. That is when we are going for the break. So hold on. That is when we are going for the break. So EC, we are waiting for you.
Advertising on the SBS TV. This is a coverage of the SRC Parliament meeting. You can see in short the acting SRC President, Mr. Hagan Quino. Acting SRC Speaker, sorry, he's acting as the Speaker of Parliament. So there on your screen you can see Priscilla Dai has been elected as the Speaker of Parliament. So she's yet to be sworn in by the Chief Justice. There was an election about 5 minutes ago, and parliamentarians decided that Priscilla Dai should be elected as the Speaker of Parliament. So in your shot you can see the two candidates. On your left is Priscilla Adai, and on your right is Johnson. Both of them stood for the position of the speakership of the Uhas Src Parliament.
Speaker of the House. So, repeating what I did earlier, this time with the elected personnel here, out of the 35 participants who voted, 13 went for. So out of the 35 participants who voted, 13 votes went for our brother, Mr. Wisman.
So the Electoral Commission does announce that Ms. Honorable Priscilla Adai has been elected as the Speaker of Parliament for the next SRC, for the 2021-2022 academic year. So she's about to be sworn into office by the Chief Justice in person of
because when you raise your hand like this,
previous
you wouldn't know
Parliament. So the
why
first
you
one was
want
a
to
point
stand
of
up. So
information.
let's do the interventions
Then we
out of
have
the way.
a point
Point of information
of order. That is two fingers on the palm. So what you can see right now, point of order, point of correction actually, that's the point of correction.
Also the point of order to call to order the honorable member speaking. Let's take note that the speaker is with the speaker, you cannot call the speaker to order. Perhaps you can rise up with a few corrections, but you can't call him to order. He's the most wisest person in this chamber. So you can rise up with respect to perhaps correct him if he had made an error. We are all human beings, but you cannot put him to order. So with the order, it goes to every other honorable member here. Then we have the follow-up too as well. So you take note of that. Then once the standing orders, the document also come, you continue to read through as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. SRC and its matters. And in my few days as an acting SRC president, there is one thing I want to put across. I believe most of you know why I was placed here, and you know the premise or the background I have. I realize most of us sit in the church or go to the mosque, and when it's time for SRC business, we forget our moral principles and the things we are taught at church. So you can see a Christian leader in Parliament, and he wants to act as corrupt as you already know. And I want to encourage us. The things you are taught in your religion or wherever you find yourself, carry them along and bring it to Parliament so that we can one day have a better Ghana. It is not only going to end here, but likely some of you will still meet again at the top. And if you are able to continually practice this over and over, you will get to a point where one day you can change the country for our children who will also be benefiting from the policies you'll be making. So I want us to always have this in mind whenever we are discharging our activities as committee chairperson and SRC representative. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the president, that's the acting federal SRC president, His Excellency Hagan Quino. So the Chief Justice is about to swear in the acting speaker of, is about to swear in the speaker-elect, Ms. Honorable Priscilla Adai, as the Speaker of Parliament. She just won the election in about some few minutes ago. There was an election in the Parliament House, and she won the election. So then in short, you can see that the Chief Justice is swearing into office the Speaker-elect in person of Honorable Priscilla Adai. So the so in that case, she'll become the Speaker of Parliament. So let's listen in.
Protect
the Chief Justice has just sworn in Ms. Priscilla Adai as the new Speaker of Parliament. So then in short, you can see the former Speaker of Parliament. The former Speaker of Parliament is putting on the gown on her. In a matter of fact, she is the first female Speaker of Parliament in the history of Uhas. So there you see Ms. Priscilla Adai, who is now the Speaker of Parliament. She's no longer the elect because she has been sworn into office by the Chief Justice. So in short, yeah, the former Speaker of Parliament, the former SRC Speaker of Parliament, put it on the gown. So you can see in the acting president handing over files to her as she takes up the position of the Speaker of Parliament. Now, just a little about her background. She was the previous Clerk of Parliament to the previous administration, and currently she has been elected as the Speaker of Parliament. So then in short, you see the Chief Justice, the Speaker of Parliament, and the acting president all posing for a photo. Yes. So there they are, the three of them posing for a photo. The Speaker of Parliament in the middle, the acting president on the right, and the Chief Justice on the left. So we have the former Speaker joining the shot, making it 4 persons now. Starting from the left, we have the Chief Justice, the former Speaker of Parliament, the current Speaker of Parliament, and the acting SRC President, who are posing for a photo. Yes, so there's still something remaining, though. That is the election or the appointment. Actually, we don't elect a Chief Justice, we appoint a Chief Justice. And the Chief Justice you see in short served in the previous administration. Therefore, this administration will have to appoint a new Chief Justice, and by the Constitution, whoever loses from the fight for speakership can decide to either take up the position of the Chief Justice or step out. So it's really something that is up to whoever loses to decide. So you can see that she has taken up her position as the Speaker of Parliament in her seat. So from now on, she's going to preside over matters in the Parliament House. So there she is, Honorable Priscilla Adai Friye, the first female Speaker of Parliament, SRC Speaker of Parliament. So you can see her talking with the acting president, Honorable Hagan Quino. Okay, so and that is Miss Priscilla, Honorable Priscilla Adai Friye, just announcing that Parliament is going on a recess for 15 minutes. It's currently 4 o'clock. It's currently 4 o'clock. So yeah, so Parliament is going on.
Oh yes, it's your girl Christina again, and I am back with a big bang. Uhas and its environment, where I and the team will dig deep, both on and off campus, to bring you all the juicy stuff you would want to hear. When the news hit the streets, we would be there to cover it. All the trending issues would also be delved into where we would have a short interview with both students and non-students, their views on these issues. I can't wait, and I know you can't wait either. Subscribe to Uhas TV now for all the juicy stuff. Guys, let's have fun. See you when I see you.
All the latest news and app on campus.
I know Ghanaians. Ghanaians would never accept this.
We can now speak live to our correspondent Nathaniel, who can tell us more on examination.
Well, that is how we end today's edition of the News at 6.
News at 6, every Fridays at 6 p.m.
Oh yes, it's your girl Christina again, and I am back with a big bang. Uhas and its environs, where I and the team will dig deep, both on and off campus, to bring you all the juicy stuff you would want to hear. When the news hit the street, we would be there to cover it. All the trending issues would also be delved into, where we would have a short interview with both students and non-students, their views on these issues. I can't wait, and I know you can't wait either. Subscribe to Uhas TV now for all the juicy stuff. Guys, let's have fun. Oh yes, it's your girl Christina again, and I am back with a big bang. Uhas and its environs, where I and the team will dig deep, both on and off campus, to bring you all the juicy stuff you would want to hear. When the news hit the street, we would be there to cover it. All the trending issues would also be delved into, where we would have a short interview with both students and non-students, their views on these issues. I can't wait, and I know you can't wait either. Subscribe to Uhas TV now for all the juicy stuff. Guys, let's have fun. See you when I see you.
All the latest news and updates on campus.
I know Ghanaians. Ghanaians would never accept this.
We can now speak live to our correspondent Nathaniel, who can tell us more on examination.
Well, that is how we end today's edition of the News at 6.
News at 6, every Fridays at 6 p.m.
Alright, so you are still live with us here at Uhas TV. Now, what you just witnessed was the parliamentary sitting of the SRC, where we saw the appointment of the committee heads. There was also the election of the Speaker of Parliament, as well as other members. So right now, Parliament is on a quick recess. They'll reconvene at 4:15. That's about 50 minutes from now. So I'm here with the newly appointed PRO of this current administration, Honorable Clenham. Thank you for joining us, and congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you very much.
So first of all, what did you make of the assessment so far? What has happened in the first half of the meeting?
Okay, on the first half of the sitting was very interesting. You could see that the newly appointed committee chairpersons, for that matter the members of parliament, they have very deep knowledge, or they are very well abreast with the constitution. So you could see that there was a very good argument where they are able to stand to defend the constitution. So I think going forward, this will be one of the best parliaments, looking at the kind of people we are having on board. We have a lot of debaters on board, so we should expect nothing but the very best. And that will affect whatever will happen in the administration, for that matter, development to be positively affected.
Okay, so having appointed a PRO, can you enlighten the public what your duties will be as PRO? For those who don't know, PRO stands for the Public Relation Officer. So what will be your duties?
Okay, basically the office of the PRO deals with communication, and as a journalist you should know that communication has a very great impact on every administration. Over the years, personally I don't have problem with the past SRC executives and their policies, but I feel one thing that really affected and crippled their administration was communication. You could see that
during some times where programs were going on, students are not even aware that they have games going on that they are supposed to go and represent. So I think accepting this role is not only an appointment, but a challenge that has been thrown to me to make sure that information gets to students. And I'll be counting on Uhas-based TV as one of the means where we will reach out to students and give them the relevant information so that they will be abreast. Because whatever the SRC stands for is in the interest of the students. So what is the essence of organizing a program and students will not come on board? Do you get it? So
But not to cut you short, you know, here in US, mostly students don't pay attention to these kinds of events, SRC meetings, president's address, and all that. Now, your job as a PRO, it's a public relations officer. So, what do you have in mind, or what do you have? I mean, you said something like that, but then how are you going to convince students such that they'll start to gain interest? Now, comparing it to others, to KNUST, Legon, UCC, the others, we see that students gain a lot of interest in stuff like this. So, what are you going to do differently from the previous PROs?
Okay, come to think of it, the PRO is standing for the SRC, and I think some of the members of parliament we have are association heads. No matter when you go into the association, they also have PROs. So one thing that I will champion is by empowering or forming a committee myself that will be the head of and the members of these committees will be the PROs of all these groups on campus. In that when there is an information, it is being relayed to them at the association meetings, even in their classroom. So it will save the stress of PRO moving from class to class, lecture halls, telling students of the new development. But we empower the association PROs to also be involved actively in those issues. Yeah, and about how we communicate. You know, communication is not just telling you what to do or telling you what is happening. The means of communication also form a vital part of communication. If I'm talking to you, I must make you understand what I'm telling you. I must make you know the need of and the reason why you should be part of it. Students don't even know that they can come and sit here and listen to parliamentary proceedings. Doesn't mean you should be appointed as an executive before or as a committee head before you come to parliament. No, you should come here. So students must be, so there will be forums that will organize through the help of the SRC that will organize forums and will ensure that other committees, when they have programs, the PRO comes on board to help them reach out to people and do a lot of campaign to publicize their programs.
Okay. So if you are still watching us, this is still a live coverage of the first meeting of the SRC Parliament. And this is the first meeting for a new parliament. Now, mind you that a previous administration has ended. Now, today marks the beginning of a new administration. Now, earlier in the day, ad hoc committee chairpersons and the heads of the committee chairpersons have been appointed. There was also an election of the Speaker of Parliament. In fact, there were two candidates that were brought before the Parliament House to approve. Now, my question is, what do you make of the Speaker? If I was Priscilla who won, what do you think about it? She has served previously as the chairperson, as the Clerk of Parliament.
Yes.
What are your views on her?
Actually, before I come to that, all the people who picked the form or who were nominated for the position of the Speaker, you could see the debates that went on the grounds. They are very good with the constitutional issues. And what makes you a Speaker if you don't have knowledge of the Constitution? So I feel personally they all deemed fit for the position. But the person who was given the position, I feel it's more of woman empowerment. You know, this is the first time in the history of Uhas politics we are having a Speaker as a female. So yes, I seriously appreciate that, and I think she did a great work. Yeah, talking to the to be appointed executives, and I don't think it was her contribution here that made her won. Maybe she may have reached out, and the other guy, the debater, he did very well, and I think he should be considered. And even if he should be hearing me, I would want to appeal to him personally that he should consider going for Chief Justice so that the SRC will be very vibrant, because I feel he has the capacity and what it is.
I mean, if you see how he speaks, he's very strong on his stance and he's a debater. So I think Chief Justice will fit him as fine as the Speaker of Parliament.
Yeah.
Also as so that's what we're talking about. There was an election here in the Parliament, and there were two candidates, Miss Priscilla Adai, and then there was another person of Johnson. So the both of them stood for elections, and then it was Miss Priscilla that won. So now the next item is the state of the SRC address. That is where the acting president will come and give a speech on the state of the SRC, how it is so far, what are his plans, and then what he's going to do. So what do you expect to hear in the president's speech?
Okay, I would want to first inform the students that we are in a kind of state of emergency. You know what happened during the election petitions and other things. So we are having an acting SRC president. So he has been appointed, not elected. So students should be ready that whatever will come out of the states or the address will not be more of policies that we are going to do this, we are going to do that. More of what will be happening in the address will be administrative policies, how to keep other offices running and empowering them until the final election, if need be, or if it happens, is being conducted, then there will be a president who will come and one thing too is that this particular president or because it's an appointed SRC president, there will not be a time of criticism. Why? Because he never came out to tell you that vote for me and I will do this and I will do that, and you come and say somewhere that you were expecting him to do this, he lied to us. No, he has been appointed to the office, and I think his appointment may be as a result of how he was able to make a great impact. You know, he was the former chaplaincy, the school chaplaincy board chairman, and he did a great work there. So I think he also deserved it, and we should expect nothing but the best from him in the state of address.
No, picking up on your point, now we've noticed that in US SRC, year after year after year after year, there is always an acting president. It's something that is becoming of a norm. If you go for an election, either go to court or someone is not happy with the result. So, and obviously we are going to vote again. So what are the chances that something like that may happen? I mean, somebody may argue that why not keep him as acting president for this administration and then we vote for the next?
Yes, you know, everybody, we are in democracy, everybody is entitled to their point of view, and that is your point of view that they should maintain him. But somebody also had this dream of becoming SRC president. He will not just let it go like that, all in the name of, you know, we said, winners never quit. So the person wants to be a winner, the person shouldn't be ready to give up just like that. So if the election come on, fine, there's no problem with it.
But most of them right now will be in level 400. You've been a campaign manager before. At this point in level 400, do you think it's feasible for them to blend in the job of SRC president together with project work and being level 100, almost ending your degree?
Okay, it's more about priorities, you get me. If the election were to have been conducted, they would have been in office working. So I don't see it to be something that will affect them because they saw or they thought over it before they went into it. Are you getting me? So and I think that the EC did a great job here. He really analyzed that, and that was why you could see the process. The roadmap for the new process is not a very long procedure. It's just something very short that, and already we know the candidates. I don't think there will be a new candidate, there will be a new face. So I think it's either some of them will be dropping out or some will be maintaining their stand to stand. So I think they don't even need to convince us more because we already know who we are going to vote for. And talking about appointments or that in becoming a norm, I don't think it is the fault of those in opposition. Are you getting me? I think it is more of we advising ourselves and doing the right thing all the time. Do you get me? What must be done and must be done rightly so that we don't see ourselves in these chances. And not forget, our SRC is still growing. We started this 2013. So we have history of small practices or small issues. With time, we are going to progress and we are going to have a very strong.
But then not to cut you short, you see, this goes back to the main problem. Usually this results from our method of voting. It is online. If we check, not most universities, University of Ghana uses the ballot system. Many people have brought up the suggestion, even during the court hearing last semester, that why don't we use a ballot system? Do you think that is a good option?
Yeah, as the PRO, I want the things to be done rightly. You know, we have channel of communication.
Okay.
The EC cannot, by its power, determine how elections will be run. And the Chief Justice cannot determine how. It must come to Parliament because the Parliament was the one who defined the way the election should be conducted. So if there should be need be that we should change from the e-voting to balloting, it has to be a motion that will be bring before Parliament. And you have to consider the financial burden, because now we are going to get ballot boxes, we need to get security services around, and now we have to collation centers, and we have to give a lot of.
Well, people say that usually if you write to the Electoral Commission of Ghana, they can handle the election, like the same for University of Ghana.
No,
Usually,
yes,
the Electoral Commission
they will handle.
does it.
They will handle.
But yes, not disputing the fact that it comes with a lot of misstep. I mean, ballot papers, there can be more printed, there can be so many more practices going on, but some believe that, I mean, it's much better than the online, which can be manipulated by so many people.
I just pray that someone, maybe yourself, you are a journalist on campus, you can just petition, or you can just write a motion to the House. It will be addressed. I believe this House, the Fifth Parliament, is made up of people who are intellectuals, who will not just look at something good and they will scrap it off. They will discuss it, and will look at the pros and the cons of it. Yes, it will, to an extent, it will affect the system positively. But there are exceptions to those ones too. So I think it must be brought before Parliament and to be considered. If Parliament votes and they come to a consensus that it is fine, I think from the next elections, it will be made what? Reality.
Right. So right now, should we elect a new president? We do vote and we get a president. What happens to the acting? Does he step down, becomes a regular floor member, or there is a provision made for him there?
He doesn't step down.
Okay.
He's an acting SRC president.
Okay.
Just like a normal SRC president. Okay. The only difference between the appointed SRC president and the elected is that one, the masses went together to give him the go-ahead. This one was a group of people who talked over it, nominated him, considered, and he was given. Are you getting me? So if a president is being elected today, he is going to hand over and become a former president. Okay. Just like how Honorable Apollo, who is still in the school level, I think he's in 600 now, medical student, but he is what? In the, yes. So.
Okay, right. So if you are still with us, you can send us your comment down below or send us the number 0501649771. So right now we are talking about the Uhas State, the SRC President's address. Now, after Parliament reconvenes, he's going to give an address on the state of the SRC, how it is now. So we are talking about what we expect to see in his speech. And an important matter he may mention is the UTAG strike, which has been going on for quite a number of, I mean, it's been more than 10 days now. So people are saying that after 21 days, the universities have to close. Now, he's the SRC president. He may have heard from Parliament. Do you think it's important that he addresses the UTAG strike, or he opts it out? I mean, it's out of students' hands.
Thank you for that question. The UTAG strike, everybody, every position or every portfolio has what? You have power, but to your power there is a limit. Are you getting me? So I don't think in his address, even if he asks UTAG to resume to school, you could see the meeting that all UTAG, all the 13 universities, even our school, they are very resolute on their decision that they are not going to what? Come back to classroom. So you could see, and I don't think the SRC president has the nerve to convince UTAG to come back. He may advise students to keep reading their notes during their slides, knowing well that after election there is life. You get me? After election there is life. It means that there is real life. It means that a time will come where IAs will come, the assignments will be coming. And I think it will affect the academic calendar. That's one thing that will be addressed. And from the look of things, we didn't even start anything. So I think the calendar will be shifted forward so that the continuing student will still get their 7 weeks. And I think this is just a projection, not very factual. It's just something that we are thinking may happen.
But then, is the strike going to affect the way the SRC is going to function? I mean, is it going to disrupt your activities as SRC?
No, it will not. The strike is also a challenge that's been thrown to the SRC. Okay. Because school is in session. The SRC is Student Representative Council. So far as academic work is not going on, maybe the SRC, we are thinking, okay, how do we engage our students? How do we keep them busy? How do we make sure they are on campus? And a lot of people are around, some coming from the northern region. You can't ask them to go home. We have to keep them around and ensure that things are moving smoothly as UTAC comes back to classroom.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So talking about the parliament, I heard earlier when we were voting, there were only 36 members. Is that the number of parliamentarians, or it's likely to be more? Because most people bring an option that course reps should be added to the SRC because they also play an important role. I mean, they get to channel all the grievances to the parliament.
Okay. Our democracy in Uhas is more of federal system. And to understand, we have general assemblies, you know. Now, with these general assemblies, if we want to do a parliament where course reps cannot come to this big parliament. Why? Because when course reps come, what we have to send course reps for seating. That was why in the constitution, the chapter 3, as it came up in the debate, there was provision for what? General assemblies. Do you get me? Now, the general assemblies, you can see even JCR presidents, they are part. All presidents are also part of the general assembly. The general assembly gives chance for the whole province. You could see that the whole provincial president is an executive member of that meeting. What happens is that anytime those meetings are supposed to come on, when those meetings come on, they are supposed to discuss issues that are affecting their campuses. Then they can channel through their minute write or petition parliament.
Okay.
And you could see that there are members of the General Assembly who are still members of parliament. And there's no problem increasing the size of government, but you should know that we have 30, as we speak now, we have 36 voting or parliamentarians. That should tell you that all these people, after every sitting, they are taking due allowances. Ask yourself, we should increase the size to every course rep. Sonam will give you 4 course reps. That is for nursing. Midwifery 4. So you can see that the size of government will be large. Expenditure, even just parliamentary expenditure, will be very great. And I could see a budget to be tabled before the House. You will see how the waves are going to go. People will be complaining about the spending because the SRC spends more than the SRC gains. The only 100% way the mainstream or the main source of our income is by dues. And not everybody pays their fees in full. And it's a problem even when the president goes to claim funds from management. They will tell you your students are not paying. Where do you want us to get money to give you? Are you getting me? So I think in the future it needs to be considered. But right now, that's why one of the nominee for the speaker raised that issue of increasing the size of government. You could see a lot of people were talking about it, but I think the same way, if we can think about it in a good way, how do we do it? Do you get me? Now, when you consider the KNUST, SRC, even them, they have caucus. They have majority caucus and minority caucus, and the majority caucus being the non-resident members, and the residents, those are the hundreds, they have the minority. So you could see, but our parliament don't have something like majority and minority. Do you get me? So I think these are some of the things that we are hopeful that members of parliament will go through the right procedure to get them done.
All right. So, finally, once again, congratulations on your appointment as the PRO. So, what do you have to say to the general public? Anyone closing statements? Everyone watching you right now?
Okay, I would like to encourage the student body that we really appreciate the trust they have and the confidence they have in us for appointing or electing us into these offices, and some of us are not going to take it lightly. We will do whatever it takes within our power to defend that great cause, and that is what we will defend. And I don't think me personally accepting this new role will affect my priorities or my values. I have values, so no matter what, I must stand for my values. So I just pray that members, sometimes when you give people power, they tend to change their behavior. So I just pray that we will all be who we were. We may not lose ourselves in trying to please the masses, so that at the end, posterity will be the best judge for us.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for coming. All right. So that has been our coverage of the SRC Parliament. Now, as you saw during the whole activities, like you said earlier, there was an election of a Speaker of Parliament. There was also appointment of committee heads. Now, right now, Parliament is on recess. So after the recess, they will come back and there's going to be the state of the SRC address, where the president is going to address the entire public, tell the student body how the SRC is now. So do stay with us for coverage on that. Thank you for watching.
Oh yes, it's your girl Christina again, and I am back with a big bang. Uhas and its environs, where I and the team will dig deep, both on and off campus, to bring you all the juicy stuff you would want to hear. When the news hit the streets, we would be there to cover it. All the trending issues would also be delved into, where we would have a short interview with both students and non-students, their views on these issues. I can't wait, and I know you can't wait either. Subscribe to Uhas Base TV now for all the juicy stuff. Guys, let's have fun. See you when I see you.
All the latest news and updates on campus.
I know Ghanaians. Ghanaians would never accept this.
We can now speak live to our correspondent Nathaniel, who can tell us more on examination.
Well, that is how we end today's edition of the News at 6.
News at 6, every Fridays at 6 p.m.
Oh yes, it's your girl Christina again, and I am back with a big bang. Uhas and its environs, where I and the team will dig deep, both on and off campus, to bring you all the juicy stuff you would want to hear. When the news hit the streets, we would be there to cover it. All the trending issues would also be delved into, where we would have a short interview with both students and non-students, their views on these issues. I can't wait, and I know you can't wait either. Subscribe to Uhas Base TV now for all the juicy stuff. Guys, let's have fun. See you when I see you.
All the latest news and updates on campus.
I know Ghanaians. Ghanaians would never accept this.
We can now speak live to our correspondent Nathaniel, who can tell us more on examination.
Well, that is how we end today's edition of the News at 6.
News at 6, every Fridays at 6 p.m.